Hello, Jordan.
What's up, Michael?
How is 2 kids versus 1 kid, and are you sleeping? On a scale of 1 to 10, how's your sleep?
Not good. Sleep, not good. We'll put it at like a 4.
Okay.
Which is, I think, probably the best it can be given the situation. I will say, one of my inner circle members just told me that she had a 2-year-old and then she had twins.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit. That's, I don't know how you do that. Like huge respect. It's funny. Like I've been talking about on social media how it's been way more difficult. And I got thousands of messages from people being like, going from 1 to 2 is infinitely harder than going from 0 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
But going from 2 to 3 is significantly easier than going from 1 to 2. That's like and a ton of people said that. Like it was actually wild how many people said that. It was and I think it's probably because once they get a little bit older, they can play with each other, they can be a little bit more independent. But yeah, 1 to 2, it's not like double as difficult, it's like 5 times as difficult. It's way more, and it's not because of the newborn, by the way. It's because I have a literal terrorist in my house now that is just absolutely out of her mind.
Domestic terrorist. Man.
She has gone nuts since we brought Slim Jim home. Yeah, so
the sharing the spotlight wasn't something that she planned on doing.
Yeah, it's funny. It's part of me like wonders if it's that or if it's just the age. Like she turns 2 tomorrow. Like
could be like that even without her sister.
Yeah. It's not at a point where there are times where if I'm holding the newborn, sometimes she'll be like, hey, like, let's dance, or hey, like, run with me, like, occasionally. Mm-hmm. But it's also just, even when the newborn is sleeping and completely out of the picture, like, I'll be like, hey, can I have your water bottle? And she'll turn around and chuck the water bottle at the wall. And I'll be like, well, that was a weird thing to do. Just like, hey, like, don't throw the food, just put it in my hand. And then she'll chuck the food, like, just doing everything she can. Like, if you say don't do something, she'll do it. So to the point now where, like, if she's eating food or if she's not eating her food, we'll be like, don't eat it, don't eat that. And then she'll start eating the food because, like, we told her not to. It's very interesting.
I'm really encouraged by what you heard and the feedback you got about 1 to 2 being so much harder than going from 2 to 3. I'm actually going to send my sister this podcast and tell her to listen to the first 3 minutes, because their second is 3 months old about right now. And they're like, I don't know if we can do another one. Like, this is not easy. And so that data point, the market research,
right? Like they're only like a year apart. Right? Like they went much faster than us.
Year and a half. Yeah. But yeah. So I'm, that's encouraging. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you're doing great, Shord. You're here on the pod.
Brother.
You did the Inner Circle Live. We got real topics today. You're just dominating.
Yeah. People are like,
you're doing your workouts.
Yeah, I'm doing my workouts. Why aren't you taking paternity leave? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, when you own a small business,
yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Why aren't you who do you think is paying me like to take time off? Like, what is wrong with you? Mm-hmm. It's like, actually, and they'll say it like judgment, like you should be taking time off so you could be with your wife. It's like, trust me. Like,
well, then how does everyone eat?
How does everyone eat? How do we pay rent? Trust me, like, we're both working really hard right now, but don't come at it with your horse shit. Like, I'm getting my work done. All right.
Yeah. That's look, when you have a massive audience, a handful of people just aren't going to understand like basic components of life. Mm-hmm. Like that you own your own business and you're not getting paid by someone who's just going to continue to pay you for 6 or 12 weeks to not work. So yeah, the pros and cons of owning your own business. Would you trade it for?
No. Oh my gosh, no. For paternity leave? Absolutely the fuck not.
I feel like I put too much chapstick on and I look like
You look good, bro.
I just had that like glossy, like outside of the lips going on.
How are you doing, man?
Good, man. Good.
You have a good weekend?
Family weekend up north. Saw my mom's side of the family. Got on the lake a little bit. Did a little water skiing. Ate a preposterous number of calories in like a 48-hour window.
Bro, you did a single leg water ski. You got to tell that story. Come on. Like, that was impressive.
I don't remember the whole extended version of it. I'll give the cliff notes. Basically, I haven't water skied in a long time. We were on the lake. Sun was starting to set. We were done with dinner, and someone there who had a boat threw up. My godmother's daughter was like, yeah, you want to water ski? I was like, I don't get this opportunity very often. And so her daughter, like 13, 14-year-old, went first, and she's just dominating. Like, she slalom, weaving in and out, like just a pro. She does it consistently. But I was like, okay, all right. So now I'm going second. We were the only two people skiing, the sun setting. So I get up on my first time, which I was pretty happy about, 2 skis, and we go by. I'm like, all right, I'm going to drop one. Like, lake is very smooth. There's not a lot of wind. There's no better conditions than this. I'm like, I'm dropping a ski. When we go by the dock.
That's crazy. Your first time out in a long time, you're dropping a ski. That's wild.
I just watched a 13-year-old get up on one and then like shred gnar. I'm like, all right, I gotta do everything I got in the old bag here. And I'm literally looking down at my feet because I don't know. I've skied a handful of times, but I was like, what's my dominant leg? And is your dominant leg supposed to be in the front or the back on a slalom ski? And I'm not going to ask anyone these questions and look like an idiot, but I'm trying to feel it out. I'm like, all right, my right leg feels stronger. I kind of want that to be the front leg because I don't feel that confident leaning back. I'm like, I'm going to drop my left ski. This is all, I'm thinking about this while we're coming up on the dock. So I start wiggling my foot out, drop it, and then reach my foot back to put it in the little back slidey, like top of the boot thing. And all I feel is, plastic ski back there. I'm like, what the heck? Where's the slot for my foot? And I'm looking down and I can't really see it. And I can't be looking down because I'm on one foot. And I'm just in the middle of the wake at this point. And realize I dropped the wrong ski. And so I don't have a place to put my other foot. I was like, this isn't a big deal. I can just power through. And so I go outside and go as horizontal to the water as I can, like way outside the wake while we're turning, and then come back through and slowly go through the wake, do it on the other side. I'm probably on one leg for 90 seconds and my glute starts spasming, like these aggressive, uncontrollable contractions. And so I throw up the, spin finger point back at the cabin, get me out of here because I'm just grinding for dear life. And we're probably 7 houses away and I'm feeling like I can't make it. Like excruciating pain in my right glute. It's just like these hard contractions. And, I'm like, I'm not dropping 7 houses away. And then the boat, it's too far for me to swim all the way down. The boat's going to have to come get me. Everyone's going to see it, look like an idiot. So basically I made it to the dock and let go. And yeah,
you grinded it out and you made it back. I grinded it out. When you did the spinny finger thing, let's go back, were you trying to make it look like you were calm or were you looking panicked? We're like, hey guys, let's come back. Were you like, hey, we gotta fucking go back?
The second one. I was like, you gotta get me out of here. This is a problem.
And how do they find the ski that you dropped?
I dropped it. I think there's a video of it. I wonder if we can run that, if I can get it to David. I dropped it within, 10 feet of the end of the dock.
Oh, got it. Oh, so it was fast. You very quickly dropped it. Okay.
Yeah, I dropped it so that I wouldn't have to swim very far.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But good weekend overall. Ate a degenerate amount and
what'd you eat?
Dialed in here today. Everything. Just
what were some of your favorites?
I mean, there was beef brisket, there were ice cream sundaes, there was homemade ice cream, my grandma made special K-bars like chocolate peanut butter, orange rolls, which is a caramel roll, except instead of caramel, it has orange frosting, which is delicious. I was eating Doritos, cowboy caviar. I was eating candy for no reason at all. Peach rings.
Peach rings?
Yeah, I was eating peach rings. It was.
What's cowboy caviar?
Some dip with beans and
cheese.
No, it's like an oil-based tortilla chip dip. Beans, peppers and onions, maybe. I don't know. Very really like good. You can taste the oil. You can taste the fat in it.
And you were dipping chips in it?
Yeah, Jordan, a little bit of everything. There was a lot of. I was in a nice solid surplus, not training, having rest day after rest day after rest day of just eating. And now we're back, hit legs and abs today. Nutrition's dialed. It's the year of the natty recomp aesthetics era. Not recomp, actually. Just the natty fat loss, lose a little bit of muscle, aesthetics, don't take it too seriously era. Week 2 is underway.
Let's go.
Should we talk about that quote? There was a quote on South Park. It was
an incredible quote. Yeah. So I saw this on Dr. Mike II's page, and Dr. Mike and I are very good friends. He's wonderful. He's in the UK. I met him at an event that I was speaking at 2 years in a row in the UK. Just a really, really good guy, smart doctor. And I'm trying to find this. Oh, here we go. Here's his quote.
Not his.
It's not his quote. He shared this quote that was from a recent South Park episode. Now, I'm not a big South Park guy. When I was in high school, I would watch it occasionally, usually when one of my friends were watching it, when I would go to their house and they happened to be watching it. But one thing that I've noticed about South Park and Simpsons are they're notorious for predicting things, and they're very aware of culture and like where culture is at. They have been, especially The Simpsons has been notorious for predicting things long in advance, and where culture will go. But they're also incredibly politically incorrect. And what I like about them is they go after everybody. Like, no one is safe. It's not like they're just picking on one group, one race, one religion. Like, they go after everybody, which as a fan of stand-up comedy, I love that. Like, I think it's awesome. Some people hate it, and that's fine. Anyway, Dr. Mike shared a quote from a recent episode of South Park that is making waves within the fitness industry for good reason. And I'm going to read the quote right now. Dr. Mike.
And other people were sharing it as well?
Yes, other people were sharing it as well. It's making a wave. Just, yeah.
Cool.
I haven't made a post on it yet. I've been thinking about it. But basically, there's a screenshot. If people watching YouTube will see the screenshot. This is from Dr. Mike II's Instagram. But you've got Cartman, and I think that's Eric with the green hat. And one of them is saying, rich people get Ozempic, poor people get body positivity. And when I saw that quote, like, my jaw dropped, because, and you and I have spoken about this a little bit before, and we could dive into it more now. When I saw that, I didn't take it at face value of just purely like rich with money or poor without money. And like, I think this is like a very deeply philosophical discussion that we could have around weight loss injections. We could have around body positivity. We could have around why people are making the decisions they're making, what options they have available to them. Like, I actually think this quote is incredibly powerful for deeper reasons. And then I sent it to you. I was like, bro, we've got to talk about this. So that's how we arrived at rich people get Ozempic, poor people get body positivity. What do you think?
There's probably part of you too that's like, it's funny and surprising and kind of cool because it's South Park commenting on something so like just right in front of our face, and something that has to do with what we deal with every single day in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It could have been this quote. It could have been another quote, but like a quote specifically about topics and issues that come across our feed every single day is almost like worth highlighting regardless of what the quote is.
100%.
I mean, what I think, I told you what I think when you told me on the phone, but I might be interpreting the quote too literally, because I think my first...
You're an ISTJ. Like, literally, I think, yeah. What did you say?
My first response was like, well, that's not true. Like, people...
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. You said LOL, like, which was like a fake LOL. Like, you're like, but can't most people get a GLP-1 covered by their insurance?
Literally. I was like, literally, Medicaid has to cover GLP-1s by this point. I was like, and they can for sure get it for diabetes. Like, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, with certain doctors, certain states, because Medicaid is the government-sponsored insurance that people who make under a certain amount of money get, health insurance. And yeah, that my mind went to, well, can't they still get Ozempic if they want Ozempic?
And then I said,
and then you're like, that's not the point. Or
I said, you're thinking about it too much like an ISTJ. Think about it from a philosophical and social perspective, less about blood being in your veins.
yeah. Like, and we can go down the road of, you know, we can be abstract. We can take it to like, hey, I'll never forget when JP said that meek doesn't mean what we think meek means. Meek means, there's a Greek interpretation from the 3rd century where meek actually means to have a sword, but to keep it sheathed, meaning that you are very strong, but you don't use that strength unless you're using it for good. We can go philosophical, but it's funny. It's funny on the surface.
It's funny. Yeah.
There's something too where I think the people who maybe, some of the people who really are like, yeah, that's right, might be coming from the perspective of rich people have every advantage and poor people are like disadvantaged, which is obviously true in some ways and is untrue in other ways. My initial instinct was funny, but I don't think it's true. There's definitely something cultural to this. And you know this better than I do because you know the body positivity movement better than I do. Does the body positivity movement feel like a lower means, whether literally or in mindset type of movement?
That's a really good question. I think that many in the body positivity movement tend to be more progressive. And they do tend to look at things more from I don't even know the right verbiage, but they look at things from like from a privileged perspective. I would say like this person has like a lack of privilege. This person has more privilege. I would say, here's what I'll say. I've never seen someone who's big into body positivity who is like conservative. Which is really interesting, right? Like we can see political perspectives based on their nutritional choices and what they discuss in terms of fitness, right? Like for example, I've never seen a conservative vegan, and I've never seen a liberal carnivore.
Cool.
Ever. And right? It's like we can see these choices based on the whatever they subscribe to. Fitness-wise, nutritionally.
And then I don't know the data, but you're then inferring that progressives have a lower income on average than conservatives?
No. I'm not inferring that. I'm saying that. Saying that the people speaking about it, like the people promoting it, have that. Not necessarily the people who are that. If that makes sense.
Got it. So you don't know if if people who follow a body positivity movement are actually less wealthy people, but what you do notice is that the people leading the movement tend to be more progressive.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And for me, what's interesting is I think the body positivity movement was born out of people feeling marginalized because of their size, and then they wanted to be seen as like, hey, like we're humans too. I think that's how it was born.
Which is good.
Totally fair and valid.
And coming out of, go ahead.
I think what extreme ends of it became is a justification to be unhealthy and lies that you can still be very healthy even when you are significantly overweight. It just like became this fringe movement within the body positivity movement, basically saying like the health at every size movement, like you can be healthy and really big, which was born out of body positivity, which then transitioned into, well, it doesn't matter how big you are because you can still be healthy no matter your size. And that's where it became a major issue. And that's where then this quote from South Park really, it was like, just hit me in the gut. Like, oh my gosh, like there's so much to unpack here, being like, okay, so people who maybe they can't afford or don't get access to a GLP-1. Well, they're just like, well, I'm just going to go down the body positivity movement now. Like, I'm just going to like say it doesn't matter what size I am because I can't get access to that. But as soon as they get access to that, if they have the ability, all of a sudden they're like, oh no, never mind. I was wrong about that. Actually, I'm much healthier now. Their tune would switch immediately if they had access to that. So it's like whatever you have access to is then that determines what you believe, not the beliefs coming first, regardless of what you have access to.
Probably access and probably social circle, right? Like if their 5 best friends are all of one ideology, they're more likely to subscribe to that. There's a quote from like 20 years ago that's big in the tech scene. I forget who said it, but something to the effect of the future is already here. It's just unevenly distributed. Which is kind of Ozempic, call it 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, right? Where it was like a Kardashian type, very wealthy individual. Insurance wasn't paying for it at all. They were out of pocket, and they were primarily using it not to treat diabetes or to lose a significant amount of body fat for somebody who needed that for their health, but just to lose 7 pounds of body fat, to go from 115 to 108 because they want to for the aesthetics. That part of the quote rings true and is like definitely was true a few years ago in terms of only very privileged, quote unquote, people having access to these GLP-1s.
Yeah. It is very interesting to see how quickly they've become mainstream, especially because they've been around for a long time. Obviously, their science is making waves in them and developing more and better ones, but they've been around for many, many years. It's only recently that they've become more mainstream, which, listen, I'm all for them. I'm all for them for those who need them, not for those who don't. My mind now, and I don't know, I hear people say like big pharma, bro. I know nothing about big pharma. I know nothing. But it does make me think it's like, oh, wow, maybe they just realized like this could be a huge moneymaker. Like to see the explosion over the last few years, I'm like, they must be making so much money. Like this just must be the biggest thing. This must be generating the most amount of money for them right now.
Yeah, I would imagine. I don't know anything either about big pharma, but you would think. It's interesting because I've heard Spencer talk about studies from the 50s, 50s or 60s,
70s and stuff. Yeah,
70s. And so yes, clearly they've been around. I don't know what caused the recent explosion, but they're here. They're here, and they're actually. This is a nice transition. If we wanted, unless we want to talk more on this.
No, whatever you want.
I have we'll call this a case study. I think this will be an interesting case study of an overweight male who has. I'm going to try and make this as general and applicable to as many people as possible. So it's not about anyone in particular, but struggled to lose to maintain a healthy body weight and has tried many different things. Right. And I think a lot of guys can relate to this and women can too, but because we're going to be talking about testosterone supplementation, it's not as applicable. Who has tried a bunch of different things and has never been able to successfully lose weight and keep that weight off. And let's assume that he tried a bunch of good and science-based, evidence-based, like effective strategies physiologically, psychologically that we would subscribe to. We'll even say he bought Eat It and like tried to put our book into practice many times and was unable to. So like it's not, he's tried good strategies, hasn't been able to make the kind of progress, hasn't been able to get to a healthy body weight. What makes more sense for this person? We can get into more details as well. Starting a GLP-1 or starting testosterone replacement therapy?
Did you bring this up to me the other day? I was like, oh, that's a really good question.
I was unsure if you knew where I was going with that or not, because
I had no clue.
Because
where
the look on your face, you're like, where is he going with this? But I was like, I literally told him we were going to pod about this.
That's so funny. I completely forgot.
Yeah. And then there are other factors as well, right? Like because weight management is not the primary reason a guy would be get on testosterone replacement therapy. We'll assume in this case that his testosterone levels are low. But there are many other reasons, psychological reasons, sex drive, libido, et cetera, reasons why men should and do start testosterone replacement. But for this fictitious case study, to start, at least we can talk about, someone whose primary goal is fat loss.
Yeah, I think it's a really good question because we have to assume that his testosterone is low, right? And I'm going to say,
we'll call it 300.
Oh, man, that's really on the line. Like that's low, but it's also not so low where I'm like super concerned about it. Like if you said under 200, it'd be a no-brainer. But 300, I'm like, oh fuck, that's really not that low.
Low end of normal.
Here's what I would say: if it's 300, I'm saying all right, so here I'm going to go through so many different things. If it's 300, is their blood pressure okay?
Let's assume yes.
If his blood pressure is okay, then I'll probably say let's try some testosterone. If his blood pressure is not okay, then I'm saying we're going weight loss injection.
You know what? I actually don't know the answer to this. I know that based on some research, many argue that going from the low end of normal to like middle upper is actually good for heart health. Obviously, going above, if you're talking 1,200 or 1,500 total test, you have some risk in terms of cardiovascular stuff. But do you know if going from the low end to like mid upper actually helps with heart health?
Here's what I'll say. I've never seen, and I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I've never seen someone start supplementing with testosterone either under the supervision of a doctor or not and have their blood pressure improve. I've never seen it ever. And that's why like, it's just, dude's got to be really careful with it. So what I would say is if he's 300 and healthy blood pressure, could definitely try like a very low dose TRT, get him up to like 500 to 600 or so, testosterone levels, because here's what I think would happen. Not only do I think his confidence would go up, his I think his energy would improve. I think his desire to go to the gym and to work out and to be better would improve. I think that would lead to significantly better behavior that is very easy or easier to sustain for the rest of his life. And supplementing with testosterone and just to be at a healthy point, a healthy testosterone level is, number one, it's not difficult to do, and it doesn't come with negative side effects, assuming that he's healthy and his blood pressure isn't getting out of control. Like, it's fine. If, with that being said, the GLP-1s, which have so many wonderful effects, is I don't think anyone really wants to stay on them long term, especially because of the potential for negative side effects. Again, many people don't have negative side effects, but some do. And often they impact your hunger so much that it can make living be very uncomfortable in many situations. It's just like, it's so so not hungry that it can make social situations difficult. It can overall make your life not as simple or as easy as enjoyable. And when you end up coming off them, often your hunger will come right back, which I think it's a more difficult thing to be on. Whereas if you could change your behaviors with testosterone and not have it negatively affect your health in any way, I think it would be the better choice overall, as opposed to the quick fix of the GLP-1s, which, by the way, it's not a quick fix and they are great for a lot of people. But in this specific situation, I would probably rather go for the testosterone. But if you had said his blood pressure was high, I would have went GLP-1.
Well, and we need to take into consideration the fact that with the GLP-1, getting from an unhealthy body weight to a healthy body weight is probably going to increase his total test.
Yes, exactly. Yes. The difference is it will increase his test almost definitively, but he will likely have to come off of it. And that's the major issue, right? Is what happens when you come off. Whereas the test, he wouldn't necessarily have to come off of it. And the behaviors that you gain, the habits you gain from going on tests, or the potential of gaining those habits is just so much better long term.
Are you seeing new stuff that I don't know about in the last couple of months with needing to come off of GLP-1s? Because I was under the impression that the majority of doctors that put their fat loss clients on GLP-1s are putting them on for life. Like, come off if you can and maintain progress. But if you can't maintain progress after coming off, this is just like a statin, or this is just like, any other medication that you would take for the rest of your life. You're 40 years old and you're starting a GLP-1. Cool. Like, the plan is to get to a healthy body weight. And if you need the GLP-1 to maintain the healthy body weight, this is a lifetime.
Yeah. From what I've seen, it depends on the individual's response. In terms of how bad the side effects are. If the side effects aren't that bad, then they can stay on it for life, no problem. Oftentimes, and I've heard Spencer talk about this, where he'll just reduce the dose or the frequency of injections. So because oftentimes it's the first couple of days after an injection that are like the worst in terms of side effects, then they'll dissipate. So maybe instead of injecting however often, they'll reduce that, they'll reduce the dose, and maybe a little bit of weight will come back on, but it will be nowhere near as where they started. So you can absolutely stay on for longer, but I think many people would like to get off. And what I know, when dudes get on testosterone, most of them don't want to come off. Mm-hmm. It's like they're more than happy to do this for the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. It's a very different mindset, mm-hmm. right? It's like from a behavioral perspective, it only enhances your life. With GLP-1s, behaviorally, it can actually be a real hindrance for people, and it can change their life. And I've seen so many people. I couldn't be more pro GLP-1s for so many different people. I'm just factually and objectively, and having spoken to many people on them, behaviorally it can be a real issue for people from the side effects and how uncomfortable they can make you. So I've never met anyone who's had a negative behavioral experience with testosterone.
Too much confidence, too much swag.
Yeah.
Too much lean tissue, just a stallion, just too much of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Like Louis Simmons said, he was like, once you go on, you're not coming off.
Yeah. Yep. And there's that, maybe that was last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about that hedonic adaptation of, cool. Interesting. What I have seen, and I hope my sample size isn't too small on this, because I'm generalizing big time with what I'm about to say now and kind of just, saying thoughts out loud and bouncing them off of Jordan here. But what I've seen with high achiever dudes, and I'm thinking of 10 at least right now, tend to be in the 35 to 50/55 age range, 35 to 50, high achiever type, family guys, work really hard. Many of them pretty solid with their training and their consistency, but can't get their food dialed in. After starting testosterone, they recomp a little bit. Visually, there's improvements and enhancements, but over a 3 to 5 year window, they're still having the same struggles with nutrition that they had before they started. Which, doesn't mean, especially if you have other symptoms that would cause you to want to start TRT, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but is something to consider, just the fact that it's not a panacea, right? Like starting these aren't going to starting TRT isn't going to help you with every issue that you've ever had.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now I really want to get on TRT. I'm not going to, but like,
dude, I don't.
I'll tell you what, if I didn't still want to have more kids and I wasn't concerned about my blood pressure.
Yeah. Your fear of a cardiovascular stroke, heart attack, etc. really.
Oh, dude.
Is
keeping helps me
you
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helps me.
That
so
fear. Oh my God. It puts me in a much safer position.
I mean, I guess it's not fear, but my understanding of that would just be, that's the slippery slope. That's the like, oh yeah, I'll go do cocaine once. Like, who knows? Like, just one time. It's like, no. Oh, heroin? Heard it's great. Let me try it once. No. Like have an improved physique in a very short amount of time? Yeah, I'll just do that and I'll stay on that dosage. I'll never increase it.
I'll never go up.
No.
I'll stay right there the whole time.
Yeah.
Then you see one person who's like more jacked and lean.
Bigger than me.
Like, I'm increasing the dose.
I'm going to kill that guy. Let's watch this.
And that guy's like, yeah, I'm natural. And you're like, fuck that.
Yeah. Well, liar. But yes. Yeah. It is, it's an interesting conversation. And there are many, we're generalizing big time, right? Because there's many factors that influence. I mean, option A, if you can pull it off, is not to do either and to make the behavioral changes and hope that they can stick. But it's incredibly difficult, and people are in positions and have taken on levels of responsibility and have lifestyles that make it very, very hard to do that.
I sort of think about it like, and it's not the best analogy, but I sort of think about it like weightlifting accessories, whether it's like an Olympic lifting shoe or a belt or wrist wraps, all these things where it's like, listen, when I go on vacation or if I'm out at a regular gym, like if I could just go in off the street, not needing a bag, no extra, I could just go in and have an amazing workout. I would prefer that. But once you start, okay, well, I've got to have my belt with me. I've got to have my Olympic lifting shoes with me. I got to have this with me. I got to have my wrist straps with me. I've got to have this. All of a sudden, like you're traveling across the country and world with like an extra piece of luggage just to give all of your workout equipment. It's like, that's fucking annoying. It's like, I'd rather just go in with my t-shirt and shorts and have an amazing workout. But once you start relying on all these extra tools, it becomes much more difficult for you to go in and have a really amazing workout. Because if you are without those things, now all of a sudden you feel disadvantaged. Now all of a sudden you feel like you're not getting the best workout in. So
once you start, then you feel like you need it.
Yes, exactly. It's like if you can deadlift 20 more pounds when you've got a belt on, you don't want to go to a gym and not be able to deadlift as much as you could with the belt, because and it's mainly ego based. It's like, well, these people don't know how much I could lift at the belt. They're only seeing me deadlift this much. It's like, it doesn't fucking matter. So that's where it's the best thing to do is focus on everything you have control over, that you can control, that you like just do it quote unquote naturally is the best way to start. If you need extra help, like if you can't deadlift without a belt because you've got back pain and you just still really want to deadlift, then like, great, get your belt on because it's going to keep you safe, and maybe skip deadlifts that week if you're going and you don't have access to your belt, or just pack your belt and that's fine. Same thing with whether it's testosterone, GLP-1s, whatever it is, like the best thing, do everything you can that you have within your own control to improve your habits and your behaviors for sure. If you're at a point where like you need excess help or extra help, great, go for it. But do everything within your power to do it naturally first and foremost. And then from there, if you need extra help, that's something to talk to between you and your doctor. Yeah.
And to remember, like I would really emphasize the do everything in your power natural, which many have for decades, but
yes.
have an honest conversation with yourself about that piece of it, because many don't. And there's a biological cost to everything we put in our body. And there are, I'm not trying to fearmonger, obviously, but there are unknown risks to both, to everything, but to both. And so if you can pull it off without these things, do it.
Yeah, that's something that I've been a little bit surprised about with and again, I'm super pro GLP-1. I'm so glad. I think they're a net positive, and so many people have had wonderful success with them. But I have noticed many people being like, there's nothing wrong with them. It's like, nothing wrong that we found yet. It's still very early in the research, and new ones are coming out all the time, and people are taking them at doses they've never taken them before. Like, we're having a much larger sample size now. Like, and I pray that there's no negative side effects to them long term. Like, we already know there are potential many short-term side effects. We know that. I hope that there's no long-term side effects. I don't want anyone to get sick from them or have any issues. We'll find out in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why you need to analyze the benefit you're getting from them. And if that benefit is, I'm going to lose 75 pounds of body fat and keep it off, and it's going to improve my blood markers and improve my overall health and improve my mortality rate and longevity, amazing. If the benefit you get is, I want to lose this extra little bit of something so that I feel slightly better in a swimsuit this summer, even though when summer comes and you lose that extra 10 pounds, you're still going to be insecure about something else. It's going to be your butt, or it's going to be whatever. Like, the insecurity will still be there. That is not a benefit that justifies the potential cost.
Correct. That's exactly right.
Oh, I want to give a shout out to Sadie. Sadie is a listener of the pod. She knows who she is. We got a question here. Basically, Sadie's a fitness instructor, limited to body weight only. Her question's limited to body weight only. All right. So do we have any books we recommend for strengthening without weights to get the best possible results?
So I have one. It's right next to me. It's a very sciencey book. It's a great book. Like, and I don't say that lightly. This is a great book.
You have a bodyweight strength training book right within arm's reach?
Literally within arm's reach. Yeah.
We didn't even plan this. Let's go.
Yeah. It's an amazing book. It's very science heavy, but also with really wonderful examples. It is called Overcoming Gravity. It's a really great book. I would treat this almost as like an encyclopedia of bodyweight strength training. The subtitle is A Systematic Approach to Gymnastics and Bodyweight Strength. It's awesome. Like, I think that this would be, if there was only one book I would recommend, it would be this. But also this is, I think, really good for coaches. It's a really great book for coaches who want to understand the science of it better, understand the programming of it better, understanding the progressions of it better. This is not a light read at all. Off the top of my head, I can't think of one that would be great for just like, hey, here's a program.
Sadie teaches classes. Sadie, couldn't have been more perfect. The fact that I asked that question, you had no idea it was coming. You had that book sitting right there, because I'm not well-versed in bodyweight training. It's not an interest of mine. It's not a passion of mine. I don't have any book recommendations for bodyweight strength training. Jordan did, right there, 3 feet away from him.
Yeah, really, really good. Yeah, and since you're a coach, and like I would definitely recommend it. It's awesome. I learn something from this book every time I open it. So highly recommend.
Awesome. Let's go, baby.
Good glute building exercises if I can't do squats or deadlifts.
Hip thrusts.
Bro, I hate hip thrusts.
I know you don't like this. I know you don't like the setup.
I hate them more than ever. My hate for them is growing.
It's growing probably because you're seeing a lot of them and you're a contrarian.
Yes.
All right, I'll give you some more.
Give me more.
I love, here's one to go against the whole line of pull, like optimal setup stability crowd. A nice little cable pull through late in the workout when you're already fatigued.
Love that.
Little like program in like the 12 to 20 rep range.
Love
Get
that.
those toes pointed out. Nice wide stance. I like a glute extension on the back extension machine.
Yep.
Nice rounded, round that upper back. Even a little tiny bit of rounded lumbar, and you're just driving those hips into the pad. Same toes pointed out. set up there. I mean, RDL, single leg RDL.
Love that. RDLs.
Bad girl, dude. I did some bad girls today. Felt great. Hip abduction, abduction for those who prefer that terminology.
Yep.
There's a few.
Dude,
what do you like for glutes?
I mean, RDLs, single leg RDLs, back extensions, single leg back extensions.
Ooh.
Single leg will light you up. Love that. I mean, I love that you brought the cable pull-throughs in there. I mean, fucking Bulgarians. Come on, Bulgarians, absolutely. Lunges. I mean, it's funny.
Do you modify a Bulgarian setup to hit more glute if someone were so inclined? Yeah.
More forward lean. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have a more forward lean in there that's going to get more glute. I think that's a better approach. If you want to get more quad, closer stance, more upright, you're going to get more quad. Like a little bit wider stance, more forward lean, you're going to get more glute. But just do them. Like, I mean, those are my tops. I'm really, and people listening are going to be like, wait, but like I thought that you recommend hip thrusts. Listen, I do what you like, and hip thrusts are clearly they're a great exercise. I fucking hate them, dude. You
don't like the setup and the
setup and the breakdown is so annoying to me. It's just like when everyone's like, how can I be more efficient in the gym? I want to get a good workout in 45 to 60 minutes. And like, we'll also do hip thrusts. I'm like, that's going to take up 20 minutes of your fucking workout. And assuming that you're working out in a public gym and you're taking all the plates and you're going to wait for someone else. Cause like, dude, I know people who aren't really strong who can easily hip thrust 315. I'm like, I'd way rather you just do RDLs. Just way rather. It's going to be better for you, better for everyone else in the gym, better, more time efficient. Like, and they're fucking uncomfortable. And it's just, I've never been more anti hip thrust than I am now. And again, I'll still program them for someone who wants them, and they're still a great exercise. But I'm really, my blood pressure is going up. I hate that hip thrust.
I love that you hate that hip thrust. I just got to give a little counter argument because I find them to be one of the best and safest ways 100%. To really load the glute.
100%.
If you're comparing like a heavy RDL to a heavy hip thrust, RDL is great because you can just pick up the weight. You can just pick the dumbbells up off the rack. There's no setup involved. There's no breakdown involved. But you're holding 100 pounds. I mean, grip can be a limiting factor too. Women, a little bit less upper body strength than men.
Straps.
Like,
versus
grips. but just the lumbar exposure in an RDL relative to a hip thrust.
Listen, there's no question. It's an amazing exercise for your glutes. There's no question. No one in their right mind can argue against it. But then I'm thinking, okay, like all the RDL, you also get your erectors, you get more back in there. If you want to get your grip work in there, you get that. I think it's an overall better exercise for athletic performance, for health, for strength, for all of that. If we're just targeting the glutes, very safe, very effective, takes an unbelievable amount of time, and it's very inconvenient. You got to find the right fucking bench. You got to get the right height. You've got to make sure you're not going to push the bench over. Just do something. Come on.
What if we're going to find some common ground here. You and I are about to find a nice common ground.
We've already found it. We've found that common ground.
No, but even more common. The most common ground. This ground is the most common ground.
Most common. Everyone knows it's common ground.
What about a single leg hip thrust?
It's pretty common.
George. What about a single leg hip thrust? Doesn't require the barbell, doesn't require the setup. If you can tempo it, you can 1.5 it, you can slowly centric, and if you get too good with body weight, you can load the dumbbell pretty effectively over like the top of one leg.
Way better. I program single leg hip thrusts all the time. And at least probably like 6 out of 12 programs every year, if not more. Like I program them all the time, way better. And I would way rather do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I program way more single leg hip thrust than I do barbell hip thrust for the reason that you described. A barbell hip thrust is like a replacement for like a deadlift or some like a more complex compound movement that you're going to load heavier, whereas a single leg hip thrust is an easy, nice, like in the 10 to 15 rep range. money in the bank.
That was super common ground.
So common. So common.
Best exercises to build your quads.
You saw how excited I got about the glutes one, and you were like, this is very similar.
This is great.
Yeah, we can do this one. I feel like there's less, you know what's funny? I feel such a low level of interest about this because I saw a picture of myself from this weekend, and I was like, my legs are getting too big, and my upper, like, what happened here? Why? I need to stop training legs at the ratio that I am because I've put on so much quad mass.
Bro, I always feel like anytime I ask what you're training, it's like 8 out of 10 times it's legs.
Yeah, what am I doing?
I don't know.
What am I doing? My quad to bicep ratio has really fallen in the last, let's call it 7 years, or risen. Quad to bicep ratio has risen too much.
Mm-hmm.
I need to restore the glory of 2003 where legs barely got trained.
You need to stop doing so much biceps femoris and start doing more of like the biceps on your arms.
That's true. That's true. I do. But I like training the biceps femoris.
Best quad exercises.
My hammies are not that impressive.
You've got impressive hammies, bro.
Thanks, Jordan. Any
very impressive, very good.
I mean, look, all kinds of knee dominant squatting patterns. Like what do we? I feel like there's almost too many to name. You got the classics, right? You got a barbell back squat. What is so funny? I'm naming the quad exercises.
Yeah, okay, now we're getting to the naming. For all kinds of knee dominant. You got the classics. We got so you got barbell back squat. I'm ready.
Are you ready? You know what I was visualizing for about 4 minutes back there was you at like 87 years old ranting about hip thrust, because you know how old people rant about stuff, like and you like barely rant. Like there are very few subjects that really like get you ranting, but a barbell hip thrust is one of them. So I'm just wondering in 50 years or 54 years to be exact. No, I know what. I'm just the ferocity of the rant about the barbell hip thrust.
Well,
I'm excited.
hopefully by then I'll be on test and it'll just be like really just like very angrily ranting.
Yeah, you're gonna be ranting even harder. That's exactly right. All right, you got the classics. You got the high bar back squat. You got the barbell front squat. You have all kinds of lunge variations. You have a hat like machine. We can go to machines. I like a leg press. I like a hack squat. You can do all kinds of heel elevated cool stuff and get even more quad in there.
Would you do a close stance leg press?
Yes, based on the bro in me. Although I feel like there was a real movement for foot placement on the leg press doesn't impact recruitment of muscle.
It absolutely recruits.
It absolutely does.
It absolutely does. I was so mad when they were saying that.
Give me like a nice little. And I think part of it is what's most comfortable for your anatomy. I would put even more important than what muscle you're trying to target. But yeah, a close and even a little bit low stance hitting the quads on a leg press.
It's like saying absolutely. A sumo deadlift and a conventional deadlift don't change the muscle recruitment in your legs. Like, of course it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, stop doing your high, wide stance leg press to recruit more hamstrings. It doesn't work. I was like, well, this person's really smart, so maybe I'm an idiot. But I'm pretty sure.
They're always like, this EMG study. But then the next time they're talking about EMGs, they're like, EMG studies are worthless. It's like they use them when it works for them and they don't use them when it doesn't work for them. It's like, let's just use common sense here. Like how you position your body changes how you recruit your muscles. Like, come on. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, I'm with you. Dude. You know what leg press I really like, actually? And I feel like I only see them in hotels randomly, are where you're basically sitting in a chair and the leg press, you're not pushing it up, you're just pushing it like straight forward and backward.
Yeah.
There's some of the versions of that I don't love, because even when you're at the setting closest to the leg press, the range of motion is still kind of crap.
Yep.
But there are certain variations of it where you can get in a really deep squat. And for those, it's where the platform isn't moving. The seat is moving.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Have you used a pendulum squat?
No, I don't think I have.
Those are awesome. Louis had one. I think Louis's gotten the patent for them. They're amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's awesome. You could use it for like heavy. Google it. Google like pendulum squat so you see what it is. Like it's you could use it for super heavy leg press style, but also you can use it unloaded for plyometric work. Like it's pretty sick.
Yep. This is what I was picturing. Yeah, this is sweet.
I would like one of those in my gym one day. It's really cool.
Dude, you should get one of these ASAP.
I also want a belt squat.
Yeah, those are amazing.
But those are big.
This looks big too.
Yeah, it is. It's huge. It's completely ridiculous to have in my home gym. It's outrageous.
Which makes
ridiculous.
It even more like
I already got a preacher curl, which was probably not without question the dumbest thing I got for my home gym. Like I shouldn't have gotten.
Are you using
curl. It? I'm using it occasionally. Yes, I am. And I'm using it actually as like a faux reverse hyperextension right now. Like I lean over and I'll do reverse hypers on it, but I want to get a real reverse hyper. So once I get that, I went through a brief, like I really want to get biceps phase, and then that quickly died out. I was just like, I just don't really care as much. And as I was going through that phase, that's when I was outfitting my gym. I was like, I need the preacher curl.
Preacher curl. So many can do the cable, the barbell, the dumbbell. Like this is going to get real use. That's funny. Hey, you're getting the alternative use out of it though.
Yeah.
With the reverse hyper.
And it's nice when I want to do some lengthened work for the biceps. Yeah. So it's okay.
Yeah. I love a nice leg extension machine. It's got to be the right machine.
Yeah.
A good leg extension, getting a nice big deep stretch.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a handful of the quad exercises I like that came to mind. Dumbbell front squat.
I think any lunge, any split squat is great. Bulgarian split squat, lunges, all that. Step ups are great. I actually really like sissy squats, and by like I don't really like them. I hate doing them, but they're an amazing quad exercise. They're also great for knee health. You know, it's so funny, dude. Do you remember when we were coming up in the industry? Everyone hated on knee extensions or leg extensions. Like everyone hated on them. Like they were just, you should never do them. And all the bodybuilders were like, you guys are idiots. Like this is an amazing quad exercise. And now it's like, yeah, this is a really good quad exercise. But the whole like athletic performance group was like, never ever do leg extensions. It's just a waste of time. But also they were doing hamstring curls and it was no issue whatsoever.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's because it was like, you need to train more posterior chain, like posterior chain. That was why I felt like the hamstring curls, the leg curl machine was okay. Yeah. Even though most machines are garbage and leg extensions are the worst of the machines, but these are okay. Yeah. The hate on machines in general, which I fell into to an extent, is probably one of the bigger regrets from like not only in educating the public perspective, but also in terms of my own training. Like the amount of excess, like kind of complicated, difficult free weight movements when I didn't have aspirations to improve at those movements and could have spent that time building muscle in a more safe and as effective, if not more effective way with some machine work. Missed opportunities.
Dude, machines are great. I remember there was like from probably 2011 to 2015 where I was just like, I hated the Smith machine because I was told the Smith machine was terrible. And then I got on it. I think I was just at a hotel gym, probably traveling. No, you know what? It must have been 2000. Oh yeah, it was 2015. I was living in Israel. The gyms in Israel were not nearly as good, but they had a Smith machine. And I started using it and I was like, this thing is actually awesome. I really like this thing.
That's pretty early. I feel like Smith machine was still getting hate in 2015.
It was. I remember I made an infographic about it, and because I was traveling with Gary, and I was nervous about posting it because I spoke about how it's actually really good, and I was worried people were gonna hate on me. They were like, "You're an idiot. It doesn't work your stabilizers." And I was like, "No, it's like." And then you ask which stabilizers, and they don't know what they're talking about. But it's machines are great. But so sissy squats, the natural leg extension or reverse Nordics are a really great exercise as well.
Reverse Nordic?
These are brutal. I actually just did these today. The reverse Nordic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those are, especially for the woman who's asking about body weight exercises, sissy squats and reverse Nordics are amazing for body weight strength training exercises for your quads, which is a notoriously difficult muscle group to hit with just body weight. So those two are awesome.
Yeah, and can get pretty advanced as well, especially for a body weight exercise. All right, one more.
What is a good cue to activate your pecs during a chest press exercise?
It's almost easier to learn how to activate your pecs doing movements other than pressing. Like if you're going to learn how to activate your chest and develop that mind muscle, I would prefer a deep stretch, lighter weight dumbbell press rather than a barbell bench press, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But even like a cable crossover or a pec deck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of like my early days of lifting and when I could feel my chest. Those are going to be more effective in helping start to develop that mind-muscle connection with your chest.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of actual cueing on a horizontal pressing movement to feel your chest more, I really like, because part of what helps you feel your chest more is getting a bigger stretch and reaching your sternum to the sky, even though you're not actually moving, but thinking about reaching your sternum to the sky during the lowering portion of the movement really helps you feel your chest more.
Yeah. And then from the concentric side of it, what's always helped me is just like, I used to have, like, if you have a training partner that can literally put their hand in between your pecs, like right on your sternum, and you actively think about squeezing their hand within your pecs, that's always worked well for me.
Mm-hmm.
And if their hand isn't there, then you could lay something on your chest or just actively think about trying to hug like someone's hand if there's on your pecs, like just trying to squeeze your pecs together. Like
if you don't have a training partner, just ask the first person you see in the gym.
Hey, put your hand on my chest.
Like this. Don't do
that is something that when I was powerlifting, that screwed me up because I spent so much time not focusing on my pecs that like my lats are way more developed than my pecs because I spent so much time working on my lats in the bench press as opposed to the chest. And it was only after I stopped powerlifting that I was like, oh shit, I actually really need to work on my chest.
Well, but your goal was maximum strength development.
Correct. It wasn't pec development. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you thought you could have got there via your pecs versus your lats, I assume you would have been
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You weren't thinking muscle group. You were thinking strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that one too. And just like in terms of mind muscle connection and feeling various body parts, being properly hydrated, not being on a zero salt diet and not being on a zero carb diet are all ways to give you the best possible chance at feeling your muscles when you're strength training.
That's it. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are. It helps the podcast immensely. It's how we grow. So please, if you haven't left one, leave one. The written reviews are the best. Huge thank you to everyone who's left written reviews. It means the world to us. Anything else you want to leave them with, Mike?
Hey, we're here every week. We appreciate you. Have an awesome week. Get after it. And we will see you next Tuesday.
See ya.